Athletic Administrators Association.
This is Ticket 760, KTKR San Antonio, your home for sports. Guaranteed human. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Karl Schoening.
Welcome into the starting lineup. I'm your host, Karl Schoening, starting at the voice coming through your speakers. LG in the starting lineup with me today as the technical director. Plenty of things going on in the world of sports. We'll be joined by Kef Ciardello to talk about things happening up the road in San Marcos at Texas State in the 7 o'clock hour. FIFA has new rules in the World Cup, and the Eagles fans believe they found out why A.J. Brown wanted out. But first, we're in San Antonio, Texas, and biggest thing happening in the sports world is happening here tonight. Game 1 of the NBA Finals, where the San Antonio Spurs are going to host the New York Knicks. Western Conference and Eastern Conference champions clash for an opportunity to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy. The arena looked a little different yesterday for Media Day. They have finals plastered all over the place. Finals, not the finals, which is a little interesting to me as we, I guess, have a little bit of branding changing there, but it is the NBA Finals, and the success of the NBA Finals comes from the Spurs, obviously, getting on board with... One second, as I make sure that we are actually pushing out over the air. We are having a little issue getting out to the radio station. 1 second. Not sure what's going on there. That's the priority here. Check 1, 2. Uh-oh. Oh, no, exactly. Yeah, I don't know why it's not pushing out. Check 1, 2. No. It's not. Doesn't seem to be going out over the airwaves. Not sure why. Well, that is not good, as I have to try and figure this out before we get moving. Worked yesterday.
Gremlins.
Yeah, suppose so. The cable's going out.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, no, not fun. What I will do for now is I will switch it over to... Hey, I think we're now back on the airwaves. Apologies about that for our Ticket 760 audience. I'm Karl Schoening, the host of the starting lineup. In the starting lineup with me today is LG, and... well, sometimes you have issues, technical issues, and we fix them somehow or another. LG, the big thing, I think, is for the Spurs. They get over all of the little things yesterday. It looked like they handled Media Day very professionally. We'll be hearing from Victor Wembanyama and company a little bit later today, as the Spurs obviously come in with a big win off of Game 7 of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they come in with another big win of the Corgi, picking them to beat the Knicks in 7 games. I'm sure that's not a conversation happening in the Spurs locker room as we recover from the quick technical difficulty over the radio, but I do think that the big thing for the Spurs coming into tonight is they have to set the tone. You're talking about a Knicks team, depending on how you do your counting, probably 10 or 11 days off since the last time they played on May 25th. And the Spurs have to find the, I suppose, right way to handle these Knicks. This is a very even matchup. This is a MVP caliber player versus an MVP caliber player. Probably should have won the MVP, and Victor Wembanyama versus Jalen Brunson. You have a ton of wings that are going to be available to just go out and push the tempo, knock down 3 balls, and really make this a fast up-and-paced game. And then on top of all of that, you're going to have a lot of, I guess, defense and energy plays. I think that there's going to be plenty of wings that are getting out and defending. You're going to see multiple matchups all over the place. Who's going to guard Karl Anthony Towns? Who's going to guard OG Anunoby? Where does Josh Hart go on the defensive side? Is he going to draw the assignment on Victor Wembanyama? There was an interesting question that Malika Andrews asked the Victor Wembanyama yesterday in her media day one-on-one with Wemby, where I guess the Cavaliers' plan was to float off of Josh Hart and let him become a three-point shooter, and that plan didn't work. And the good thing, the very mature thing that I'm sure everybody should know about in the Spurs organization is, and seems like they did get the memo, is you don't tip your hat at all in all of this media availability. There's going to be plenty of people who are going to reach out and say, hey, what do you think about this strategy or that strategy or what you did here or there? And the response is keep your mouth shut. You don't tip your hat in any which way. So when asked about, which was an odd question for Malika Andrews to ask Victor Wembanyama specifically about Josh Hart. Hey, notice the Cavaliers kind of just let him shoot like they did with Asur Thompson in the Detroit series. And Wemby was just like, we will talk about our own ideas in our X's and O's conversation. So he didn't take the bait when she was trying to maybe see if he would tip his hat about anything along those lines. And that seemed to be the general idea for all of the Spurs yesterday. In so much of their media day, this young team continues to handle exceedingly different tasks exceptionally well. So yesterday being media day felt like a good win for the Spurs in the sense that sometimes you wonder about if a young team, first time in the finals, is going to be caught off guard. And they seemed excited, enthusiastically answering questions, and certainly some curveballs asked. Steph Castle was asked about his 3 favorite Atlanta rappers, and he had an answer ready to go, but it certainly threw him off. He even said that's a crazy question to ask before he got moved on to his next question. So the Spurs had a whole bunch of people talking to the media. We're going to hear from Victor Wembanyama coming up next segment to figure out exactly what the Spurs are going to do for their next, game here coming up tonight. It's going to be a fun one between the Spurs and the Knicks. I don't want to get too much into X's and O's entering the game because it feels like there's such an unfamiliarity with this team that we're not quite sure what the Spurs and the Knicks are going to do when they face each other. You know that the Knicks are a high-energy team. They know how to speed up the game. They know how to slow down the game. They have guys that will do the dirty work, and they also have guys that will go out and score. Mikal Bridges is a baller. I don't know how else to explain his game except he is somebody who is 6'5", arms that are so long that his elbows go down to his waist. He can really handle the ball, get to his spots, knock down shots. He's a good jump shooter. This is probably the best jump shooting team the Spurs have played all season. I like to say Jalen Brunson is somebody who you see at the pickup park. He is somebody who might not wow you with his athleticism or do anything that really makes your eyes pop, except for the fact that you can just tell he is a baller. He will go out and score on you. He can cross over and get into the paint and hit his fadeaways and knock down the occasional three. So Jalen Brunson, somebody that the Spurs are going to obviously focus on as the head of the snake. And then you have all these other guys who can come away with ways to impact the game. And that's going to be exactly what the Spurs try to avoid here is making sure that Knicks don't get to play their game. You have a stretch 5 in Karl Anthony Towns, the first time all playoffs that the Spurs have really dealt with a stretch 5. And then you also have guys that are going to go out and, I guess, make the adjustments needed to try and change the game plan up on the Spurs, such as a Jose Alvarado, who is known as Grand Theft Alvarado because he has this sneaky little play where the inbounder doesn't notice him out of the corner of their eye, and then he sprints in and gets the ball right away from where the ball was inbounded to the player who caught the ball. So Jose Alvarado, expect him to get a couple sneaky steals over the course of the series, unless, of course, the Spurs are so familiar that whenever they see Jose Alvarado on the court, it is literally the two-man job of whoever's inbounding and whoever's receiving the inbound to say, hey, we see you, Jose. Go ahead and get back on defense and don't think about stealing the ball. That's going to likely be a scenario in which you see the Spurs keep an eye on creating and generating all those extra possessions and keeping the Knicks from doing so. If the Spurs had one sort of weakness to this point, It's that they will allow offensive rebounds. And the allowing of offensive rebounds is somewhat what comes with the territory when you have a shot blocking big man, and then the rest of the league picks up on that, so they will rotate over and they will attempt to get the offensive rebound after the shot block attempt, and that'll put Wemby out of position, quote unquote. But the Spurs obviously have a game plan to maybe keep Wemby from not being quite the shot blocker he was. He started the playoffs with 12 block shots, and he's sort of decided that he's going to use his energy a little bit more efficiently, not necessarily going after every shot, but cutting off angles that'll also keep the teams off of the offensive glass. So that'll be another key for the Spurs tonight. We'll have a few more keys throughout the show today. And Kef Chardello, for those of you that don't know Kef, he is somebody who wrote for the Austin American-Statesman. He's written for the San Antonio Express News. He's a freelancer who covers Texas State, but he is a diehard Spurs fan. He has been at several games this year. He always has his opinions on the Spurs. He's also a diehard Raiders fan, which is interesting. I know the backstory on that. He was a military kid who bounced around, and I forget exactly how, but he did become a big fan of the Oakland Raiders and followed them to Las Vegas because he didn't necessarily have any ties to Oakland that made that a hurtful exchange. But I always enjoy hearing his thoughts as he sees the game a little bit differently from the outset of the mindset of a writer who also played a little bit of football, but he certainly sees the game interestingly. I want to talk to him about that. There's so much other interesting things happening in San Marcos as they get ready to go to the Pac-12. There are also some other interesting things that dropped yesterday, such as perhaps a reason why A.J. Brown wanted out of Philadelphia. Gossip, hearsay, rumors, but it's starting to pick up steam among Eagles fans that could possibly be true. So something worth looking into in terms of why A.J. Brown wanted out, but he seemed excited to get things rolling up in New England as he spoke to the media for the first time yesterday. And FIFA came out with rules to make the games more interesting, but also keep sportsmanship involved in the FIFA World Cup coming up. We will talk about those rule changes a little bit later this hour as well. Plenty going on in the world of sports as we have the biggest thing happening here in the city of San Antonio. We'll step aside, but when we come back, we will hear from Victor Wembanyama and his thoughts on the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks starting off tomorrow here on Ticket 760.
San Antonio, the future of the Spurs starts now. Join Ticket 760 for live NBA Draft Night coverage Tuesday, June 23rd, as we break down every pick, every trade, and what it means for the silver and black.
Victor Wembanyama, windmill right-hand jam.
We're broadcasting live from The Rock. Who will the Spurs add to their dynamic lineup? Find out with us. NBA Draft Night, Tuesday, June 23rd on Ticket 760 and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go for sale the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go. Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tidy little financial consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Hebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in-store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Hebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Hebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Hebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
Lighting has a bigger impact on your home than you might think. I'm George Salinas with Absolute Power Electrical Contractors. From sleek recessed lighting to modern LED upgrades, we transform your home's interior into something brighter, safer, and more energy efficient. We install lighting that fits how you live today. Call 210-904-1521 or visit absolute-pwr.com to schedule your free estimate. Absolute Power Power Electrical Contractors, at your service.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
You know who's listening to the radio? Voters. Lots of them. So if you're running for office, this right here, great place to reach them. And it's not like social media where people are just swiping through ads. With radio, they're engaged. Plus, it's 1/10 the time and cost of video. Don't just campaign. Connect with millions all over the country, even thousands in the smallest communities with radio. Be on the air in just 48 hours. Visit winwithiheart.com. That's winwithiheart.com.
Hey guys, it's us, the Jonas Brothers. I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Nick. And guess what? We created our own podcast.
And it's called Hey Jonas.
Listen to Hey Jonas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you've been injured in an accident, you know there's no shortage of attorneys who want your business. But when it comes to results, the numbers speak for themselves. Thomas J. Henry secured over $1 billion for clients in the past 4 years. We've successfully represented thousands of injured Texans, earning over 12,000 five-star reviews on Google. So who is the right attorney for you? Just look at the numbers. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust. San Antonio, Texas.
Hey guys, this is Jamie from Black Swan Yoga San Antonio, and we would like to invite you to join our Summer 75 Challenge. It's running from June 1st to August 31st. Commit to taking 75 classes this summer, and you'll be entered to win yoga for life. This is more than a challenge. It's all about building community. If you're new to the studio, jump in on our summer sale starting May 22nd. The first month is half off of our OG rate, making the first month $44. You can't beat that. We can't wait to flow with you and hope you crush it on your challenge.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
It's the French Open, where every point is a battle on clay. I'd know. I competed there for decades. Join me, Renee Stubbs, on the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast for no-nonsense breakdowns of the biggest matches, the toughest players, and the moments that define Roland Garros.
Listen, Elena Rybakina is arguably the best player in the world right now, and I actually can win on any surface.
Search the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
He didn't make the team, but he's in our starting lineup. Back to Karl Schoening.
Starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Karl Schoening. Happy you guys tuned into our frequencies over the radio airwaves or are checking us out on YouTube. LG is in the show with me as making sure that we look and sound good. I saw you take that sip of coffee. I have my...
Tea.
Tea. Oh, yeah. I have my emotional support coffee here, as that's what this cup says, and I always enjoy that because it... the warm feeling of coffee just, makes me a little bit easier in the day. Like you start off the day and you're a little I mean, that warm feeling that just comes from consuming previously piping hot liquid. Don't consume it when it's straight off the boiler. I have a little milk in here.
It's been like 7 or 8 months since I had a cup of coffee. So,
well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I need it to jumpstart my brain and kickstart my colon. So it gets my day rolling for sure. But
there you go. Too much of it will do the opposite for your colon.
Oh, good to know, because I used to have too much of it for sure. I used to be so addicted to coffee. I would have like a pot a day when I worked at Texas State. Yeah. It's probably not good. I still have way too much caffeine, but the idea of that is not necessarily all, I guess it's not too bad until you realize that it might not be good for your heart. So if caffeine is how I go, I guess caffeine is how I go. But you can get involved in the show multiple ways. You can reach out to me on X, and you can also reach out to me on Instagram at On Air Karl. You can reach out to LG at DJLG210. I will take the blame for the start of the show for being about a minute muted. That was on me, but we have those issues handled, and we're happy that we live in this 21st century where, technology can occasionally be frustrating, but I don't get frustrated by technology. It's a fun way to go. LG, how else can they get involved in the show?
You can subscribe to this thing, hit that like button, jump in the chat, participate, get interactive with us. You can also head on over to our social medias at Starting Lineup Live on all these social medias except for Twitter. Twitter is TSL760. And yeah, hit us up, join the show, participate in the fun.
You can also buy us a coffee, as we were just talking about. LG is not a coffee person. He's a tea person. He will take whatever drink and beverage you can give him. Although you're not drinking alcohol at the moment, so don't think that that means a good time out there necessarily. Although you could have a good time without alcohol, of course. But
it's been 1 month and 1 day of riding the sober wagon. So
see, I thought
let's see when I fall off.
So, this is the Seinfeld bit, right? But I kind of agree with Seinfeld. If you're on the wagon, isn't that where the alcohol is? So aren't you? If
No,
you're
it's
on
the sober train. You're on the sober train.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're drunk, so you fell off the wagon because you're drunk. You can't hang on.
Oh, okay. I guess I see it, but yeah. I like Seinfeld a lot. You watch Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, I did. I haven't watched it in a while, but
neither have
it
I.
Used to be my background show. I'd just put it on. Netflix used to have a really cool shuffle mode for Seinfeld. They took it away, but they bring it back.
Yeah, the one thing about Seinfeld is it's a show that really encapsulates the 90s in a sense that you don't realize until you start watching it that half of the episode's problems could be solved with cell phones. It was very much a different time where if you could not find somebody by hitting them up on their landline, or they didn't say they were going to be where they were going to be at the time that you said, let's meet here, then you just didn't know where they were. You had no way of figuring it out.
I lived in those times, Karl.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time.
Yeah.
I delivered pizzas before there was GPS or cell phones.
No, you've told me those stories. That sounds like horror stories.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, like that, having to look at an actual physical map. Wow.
Yeah, I had to pull out a paper map to find people's addresses, and if I couldn't find their house, I'd have to pull over and pull out a quarter or 50 cents and use a payphone to call them.
Man, payphones. I really the edge of my life that had payphones, I did not have anybody to call on those payphones except maybe my parents occasionally at the mall or something like that.
You also had to remember people's phone numbers.
Yes, I do briefly remember that. In fact, somebody was trying to shame, I guess, people on social media with a reel that's like, didn't you used to be able to remember phone numbers? And really, I've never probably registered beyond putting it in my phone, somebody's phone number, and confirming this is it. Let me text you. Okay, then that's just 9 digits that don't matter to me anymore because it's now a name and a contact that pops up. I don't have to ever actually dial those numbers again.
There you go. I still remember some numbers. So
I remember my mom and my dad's and my brothers, and that's about it. There's no landlines that I remember.
210-226-3232. Give that a call if you want to know Frostbank time today.
Oh, okay.
Get the time and the weather. That's how I used to get the time and the weather when I didn't know what time it was. I'd call 226-3232 and it'd be like, Frostbank time is currently 6:23. Downtown temperature, 85.
Okay.
It still works today.
Really? Is 411 still a number? Is that still active? I don't know.
I think it's 311 here.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. No.
It might still work. I don't know. I haven't dialed that in a while.
This is a sport
internet.
Yeah, this is a sports show, and sometimes we get on little tangents like that about how the world is, and so we'll try and keep that as fun and light as possible. But somebody that I always like to give my airtime up to because he is such an interesting interview is Victor Wembanyama, and I feel like he is, I guess, somewhat enlightened individual. I enjoy everything that he really says about a handful of things, a good amount of things. And I thought that he handled Media Day very well yesterday. But in the event that you have not heard what Victor Wembanyama says, let's go ahead and get it over to Wemby right now and get his reaction to Media Day yesterday.
The other night you mentioned the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and I wanted to know how old you were when you first became aware of it, why it became so important to you maybe at an early age, and then lastly, in a broadly question, is what made you fall in love with basketball?
Falling in love with basketball happened really early on in my life. I have pictures of myself with a basketball at an age where I wasn't even old enough to have memories. And the Larry O'Brien, I don't remember. It really goes too far back. Basketball's really been there for so long for me. But I guess all kids love trophies and medals.
Mike, over here on the right side.
Victor, you saw the 5 banners the first time you walked in here. I know you have a connection to Pop, to Tim, to all the guys from the past, but how do you kind of thread the needle between connecting to that and wanting to start something new with you and your young teammates?
It's an interesting question. We're really being put in the best settings to do that. So it's not really an effort I have to make because they're all these guys that you mentioned. I mean, it's like they're carrying us, and they're guiding us in the right direction.
Victor, how's it going? Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. You guys played the Knicks 3 times this year, including in the NBA Cup final. I'm just wondering what you think about the matchup going into this NBA final series against them.
It's a great team, It's a great team of experienced guys who are not here by chance, but by relentless effort over the years, and very different career paths for all of them. So they're right where they're supposed to be, in my opinion. And all of them are going to be super hungry in their own way.
On your left, Jared.
Jared Weiss, The Athletic, on your left. Victor, this is going to be a gigantic audience that you're playing in front of. How do you feel about the fact that a lot of the world, the basketball world, even the general world, is going to be watching the series? And how does that spotlight motivate you? And how do you feel comfortable in that spotlight?
Doesn't motivate me. At the end of the day, only 20,000 people fit in the arena. So it doesn't really make a difference.
On your left, Tim.
Tim Reynolds with the Associated Press. Victor, going back to the other night, I'm curious, one, did you get the chance to have your conversation with Pop? And two, you guys, there was so much emotion after the game. What was the process like for you of coming down off all that, recentering and getting locked in on this?
So for the first question, yes, of course I saw Pop right away when we landed. And the emotion was really something I haven't felt in a while. I don't even know since when. And coming back down from this is a challenge. And it's not done yet. We still need to really come back down to earth and realize that we haven't done the hardest yet. The job isn't done at all. So we still got about, I don't know, what time is it? Like 30 plus hours to recenter.
On your left.
Hey, Victor, we know you spent years doing very specific training, like paying close attention to your nutrition since you were a kid, working on your stability and mobility. And then this summer, you also spend time working on the mental side of the game. Can you tell us how important is these little things to reach the NBA Finals?
I would say linking those things to directly the NBA Finals would be a shortcut, but it's details are the difference makers. That's what I would say. And it is more important on an individual's career because it's from eating the right stuff at the right time to reaching the NBA Finals. There's many, many steps in between.
Over here, Tim in the back right.
Tim McMahon, ESPN.
you've had unique involvement and a unique vision for the Jackals. What do you think of the way that group has brought your vision to life?
With tremendous effort and results, they dominated the away court on the Game 7. And I've known for years that the Spurs community had this strength in them. And now to finally see it being channeled into something organized and efficient and effective, it's a great joy.
That was Victor Wembanyama in his post-game or his pregame thoughts yesterday at Media Day. I'm Karl Schoening. Happy you guys tuned into Ticket 760 to hear all of those Spurs talk things that we do. The big thing about Victor Wembanyama is he seems very mature and ready for the moment, and I really liked the answer to his question about the big spotlight of the NBA Finals. And in a way, he's right. Like, it doesn't really matter that it's the NBA Finals because nothing really changes. It's still going to be a sold-out crowd. It's still going to be a 94 by 50 court. The rims are still going to be 10 feet tall. And that kind of approach gives me a lot of confidence for the Spurs stepping into tonight's game. The one thing that I think that, I talked to yesterday with WOAI's Charity McCarty, who asked with Chris Duell in their morning show, they wanted to get my opinion, was who has the most pressure on them? And at first, I didn't really think about that question to have an answer. I made the joke that I made about how the pressure's on Gina Ortiz-Jones, the mayor of San Antonio, because she has to maybe answer the lightheartedness of Zoran Mamdani, who signed an executive order banishing bedtimes during the NBA Finals for kids so they could stay up and watch the Knicks. And I think the answer to that question, now that I've thought about it, who is the pressure on? It feels like the pressure is really on the Knicks because the Spurs are so ahead of schedule that this could be the first of many times that they are in the finals. And I think you know that. You look at this young Spurs squad, and they were just put together. While if you look at the Knicks, it has been years of trying to figure out who's the guys for the roster, trades here, trades there. Julius Randle for Karl Anthony Towns. Dante DiVincenzo was part of the Villanova cast of players that gets shipped away with Julius Randle in order to get Karl Anthony Towns. These are Knicks that have been a lot of talent. You also talk about 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, moving from Brooklyn across the bridge over to Manhattan to play for the Knicks. So there's so many things that have been put together in years of not making it to the finals that if you ask me now that I've had a little time to think about it, the pressure seems to be all on the Knicks. They have to win a game on the road. They have to beat this young team that has this demigod of a player in him in Victor Wembanyama. And then on top of that, I brought this up, I believe it was yesterday, when my dad was covering the Spurs in the 2007 finals. The Spurs had been to the finals before. This was the 4th finals under Tim Duncan, 3rd one for Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, and a lot of the leadership from those players carried down to anybody who might not have been there in 2007. You talk about Michael Finley, who was on that roster, and etc. Those were a lot of vets that knew what was put in front of them. And then on the other side, here come the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were just sort of happy to be there. They had knocked off the Detroit Pistons, and they proceeded to, I guess, walk into Media Day in awe. They had their camcorders out, before cell phones had usable cameras, and they just went ahead and started to soak in the moment to a point where the media looked at the difference between the Spurs and the Cavaliers in that 07 finals Media Day and said, this is probably going to be a short series because one team, all business, ready to get the series started, another one very excited about the opportunity. And not to say that being excited isn't a good thing in sports, but it was something that I think really did come into a factor of the Spurs winning that series. However, I don't get that feeling here from the Spurs. They have a lot of mature for their age players. They're excited for sure, but I don't think they're blinded by the lights of the 200-plus media members that were in San Antonio yesterday. And, I'll bring in LG real quick here. LG, before we wrap up this segment, let me tell you, it looked different yesterday in the underbowels of the Frost Bank Center. It's crazy how a building so familiar can get so many new additions. We have, as you know, a smaller interview room for the Spurs and an even smaller interview room for the opposing team. Now we have multiple big interview rooms in the underbellies of the AT&T Center. We have a whole bunch of
They
signage.
actually built those. They built those for the Western Conference Finals, so they've been up for a while now. So
Okay.
I'm used to seeing those already, and yeah, they're much nicer, and they have nicer cameras in there and nicer audio gear, and there's a lot more room because there's hundreds of media members in the city right now. And Don Harris from News 4 KMOL said it the best. He said that it's like having a house or a kitchen, and there's a bunch of cooks in your kitchen that you don't know, and there's a bunch of people, sitting in your chair and using your, eating your porridge like Goldilocks. And that's kind of what it's going to feel like at the NBA Finals. There's going to be a bunch of people from out of town that aren't really ever here in San Antonio. So get used to it and expect to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of unfamiliar faces in the arena.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday when I was in with the media waiting to get into Spurs practice, we were able to get into the last 30 minutes of Spurs practice, which was literally just them putting shots up. They had actually done the bulk of their actual practice. I just saw so many people that as a media member I know, and I forgot, like, when I locked eyes with them, they don't know who I am. So I saw Ramona Shelburne and Zach Lowe, and I'm not like starstruck or anything, but it's just these people that you see so often that it sort of doesn't always register that, oh, that's right, you don't know these people personally, or at least they don't know you. And maybe they do know who I am, and I just didn't actually bother to introduce myself. I told Zach Lowe I liked his cameo on Your Friends and Neighbors, and he appreciated that, and he just kept on walking, and that was about it. So one of the guys that I met, and this is just standard for the NBA Finals, was from Belgium, and he spoke French, and he was based out of LA. He had an FX6 with that servo zoom kit lens, and he was just there to send out stuff to NBA Global. So that's your standard thing. It's totally random backstory, yet they're there and they're covering the NBA Finals, and there's a lot of them. And last night there was a mixer. I didn't end up going to it, but I will try and meet up with some of these media members in San Antonio. It's great that we have very welcoming city. There was a pep rally last night, and they brought out the Corgi. And, I think that Corgi might be a little biased, but Air Corgi picked Spurs in 7. So I think all the pleading that we sent to her way, she picked the Spurs in 7. I don't necessarily know if it'll go 7, but, man, San Antonio would be rocking if they hosted a Game 7 of the NBA Finals a la 2005, which was one of the best games I've ever been to in terms of atmosphere. I was in 7th grade at the time, and nobody sat the entire game. If the ball was in play, everybody was out of their seats and cheering, and that was quite the atmosphere. We're way past on this break. We're going to step aside here on the starting lineup, but obviously a lot more Spurs talk. When we come back, I'll have a couple things ready to go. A little bit of Eagles rumors as to why A.J. Brown is not here anymore, and also, or at least in here, why he's not in Philadelphia anymore, and also the FIFA World Cup rule changes, very good ones that I think should almost be implemented across all of soccer. We'll talk all about that and more here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Ahead of tonight's opener of the 2026 NBA Finals, we look back at the Spurs' dominance in Game 1 of the championship round. Spurs boast a 6-0 record in Game 1 of the Finals, the most wins without a loss in a particular Finals game number in any particular playoff round since 1983-1984. Most recently, the Spurs topped the Miami Heat 110-95 in Game 1 of the 2014 Finals. The
Things in
Bank
Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress. But one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in San Antonio, or call 726-202-1300 or visit LanceStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Trust, price, and ease of transaction. That is GiveMeTheVin.com. We love to buy cars, and you're going to love GiveMeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
For more information about contests on this station, go to ticket760.com/rules.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots. He scores.
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With the new MyLowe's Pro Rewards American Express card, earn 3 points per dollar spent on Lowe's qualifying purchases for the first 6 months after card account opening. Plus, save 5% every day on eligible purchases at Lowe's and earn points on eligible purchases everywhere else Amex is accepted. Card members get more at Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. 5% can't be combined with any other offer. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Points subject to loyalty terms at Lowe's.com/terms and credit reward terms at Synchrony.com/MLPRA-terms. Visit Lowe's.com/business credit.
San Antonio, your Toros are dominating. 2 games, 2 wins, 2 shutouts. Nobody has scored on the Toros. A new generation carries on the winning tradition of one of the most legendary football names in San Antonio history. Now, the Stampede returns home Saturday, June 13th, as the Toros collide with the Tall City Black Gold. Tickets start at just $10 at COFLToros.com. Vamos Toros!
Hi there, I'm John O'Hurley. You know, our pets are beloved family members. But sadly, though, there are so many dogs that get euthanized every day due to the lack of funding. To give them a chance at adoption, I invite you to support Puppy Food Bank. Thanks to generous donors like you, all of the food sent to pet shelters from Puppy Food Bank never comes with a bill. So please go to puppyfoodbank.org and make a generous, caring $15 donation every month. Your donation will absolutely save.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like one-hit wonders. The greatest one-hit wonders of all time. Ones you definitely remember.
Now whip it.
And ones that'll make you say, oh yeah.
This is the story of a girl.
Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search One-Hit Wonders, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good. iHeartRadio.
Start your day with the starting lineup.
Yeah, the sun is coming up. We happy you chose to start your day with the starting lineup here on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Karl Schoening, in and out on this segment. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on here, and I do want to bring LG in, who is an Eagles fan along with me, is the ongoing drama that seems to be over with A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now that he has officially been traded to the Patriots, it seems that the most legitimate story through various sources that among Eagles fans has come out, and we have figured out why A.J. Brown was upset. And I don't know if you saw this, LG, as it's really just diehard Eagles fan of mine that really wanted to see if we could ever figure out what the issue was. But it turns out Hassan Reddick, who was one of the Eagles' best pass rushers, was on the Eagles. I think it was in 2023, if I remember the story correctly. And as was A.J. Brown, first year on the team for A.J. Brown. And seems like they had the same massage therapist girlfriend. I don't know if they were massage therapists first and then, end up dating each other, but Hassan Reddick and A.J. Brown end up dating the same woman. And it turns out that Jalen Hurts found out about this. And he decided just not to bring it up with either one of them. And A.J. Brown finds out that Jalen Hurts knew, and it was unbeknownst to A.J. Brown that this woman was, I guess playing the field, if you will, with both sides of the ball, hoping that neither one of them would find out that either one of them were dating her. And turns out that, according to the alleged story, AJ approached Jalen that he was hurt. And this seems so Jalen Hurts. And this is why I love Jalen Hurts. When he asked why he didn't, tell AJ Brown, he said, man, I don't want to do anything with that drama. I just want to focus on football. And that made AJ a little mad, and that was apparently where the fracture started, and supposedly he asked for a trade 4 games into a 4-0 season in 2024. However, that is the most Jalen Hurts thing I think I've ever heard. There's a love triangle happening within his locker room, and he really is just like, hey, I get y'all are humans, but we're here to play football. And I don't care about you guys and your love triangle. I'm not even going to get involved if I know about it. So supposedly that's where the rift between wide receiver 1 and QB 1 started. And, I know that it may have cost the Eagles possibly, allegedly, their best receiver, if you will, and the I guess chemistry between the best receiver and the quarterback. But that is the most Jalen Hurts thing. I love that about Jalen Hurts. He seems just focused on being the best football player possible. I don't know if you.
Yeah, that's just it's riddled with scandal, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. There's also the side of it where a lot of people thought that there might have been A.J. Brown leaking things to the media, that he wasn't happy and he was like sort of being a little two-faced in the locker room, that he was, excited to be there. And when he spoke to the media, it was fine, but he spoke behind the closed curtains that he wanted out. And supposedly, it feels like at this point, if there was enough smoke, there was enough fire, and that was the most recent thing that came out, and I think that's the end of it. I don't think, unless something else groundbreaking comes out of this A.J. Brown thing, I think that's the end of it. We move on. A.J. Brown is now a member of the New England Patriots, and he's going to be Drake May's number 1 receiver target, while the Eagles, they draft Mekhi Lemon with their first-round pick. They still have Devontae Smith. They're going to be just fine at the receiver core, but I hope that that's the real story, because, you have to remember sometimes that Greg Caston here saying that's Philly culture interacting with us on our YouTube chat. But that's not just Philly culture. Well, maybe it is. I mean, the Jalen Hurts part where he just wants to focus on football is certainly the type of culture you want to establish if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. I wouldn't be surprised if things like that happen all the time across multiple sports. There's plenty of stories that are alleged out there where teammates are in love triangles and stuff like that. Not here to get into any further examples, but these are, very, affluent individuals that can go out and mostly date whoever they want. I think professional athlete is the equivalent to a supermodel for the women's side of things. These guys are in great shape, and I understand that why there would be certain things where they maybe date the same person, So crazy story that is really picking up momentum in the Eagle fanhood, and that'll probably be the end of our A.J. Brown discussions until he really goes off and maybe we talk about him in fantasy and football again. But that's the end of the chapter, and that seems to be what Eagles fans are sort of doing to cope with it, is like, oh, hey, our QB1 just wanted to focus on football and stay out of the drama. Makes me like Jalen Hurts even more.
And it just shows how starved people are for NFL news in the offseason, because this story has been dominating headlines for the last, almost a week now. And there was rumors of this even before that. So the NFL season couldn't get here quick enough.
Yeah, well, I guess we still have probably 100 days, maybe a little less than 100 days until NFL kickoff. It's getting there, but yeah, it is certainly something that I think was interesting. We're going to wrap up hour 1 by talking about the FIFA World Cup implementing new rule changes. I like a lot of them. However, I am not sure that some of them are necessarily good. It could be one of those things where the FIFA rules can be bent a little bit and broken into the favor of somebody else. We'll have to see. You can interact with us on YouTube. Hop in the chat. We will read them as I see them come up. Greg Cast, he says, good morning, fellas. Waited all year for game 1 of the finals. I suppose I have too. I never wanted to put the cart too far ahead of the horse, but once I saw this Spurs team start 5-0, set a franchise record for consecutive wins to start a season, then I knew that this was a special team, and they have certainly been special. We'll step aside here on the starting lineup and talk a little bit of soccer when we come back before getting into the Spurs at the top of the hour with Kef Chardell, who will join us from Win Now or Get Bent, but he's a big Spurs fan, and he knows a lot about what's going up in San Marcos. Plenty of Texas State talk coming up in hour number 2, and of course, plenty of Spurs talk here on Ticket 760. Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tiny little financial consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Hebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Hebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Hebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Hebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
Before they can cheer your name, you've got to make one. At Spurs Sports Academy, we're helping young athletes do just that with year-round basketball camps and tournaments for kids of all ages. It's all part of our mission of inspiring lifelong memories and building character through competition. To find your way to play, text HOOPS to 210-444-5021. Or head over to spurs.com/sportsacademy.
In this edition of the Marketer's Report, Giovanni Martinez, Senior Director of Marketing and Innovation for Avocados from Mexico, speaks on audio's reach.
We know how powerful is audio. I mean, with the frequency, the reach that you can generate with that component is something that we always have as an add-on in our campaigns.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to the audiences, live conversations, and trusted influencers you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Got a DWI? Don't wait. What you do next matters. Not all classes are accepted by Texas courts. Before you pay, make sure it's state approved and live. Alamo Center has helped Texans for over 30 years complete their court-ordered DWI and drug education classes live and instructor-led. No pre-recorded videos. Real instructors, real support. Classes fill up fast. Secure your spot today. Speak to a live person now. Call 210-824-5537 or visit alamocenter.org. Alamo Center. The road back starts here.
NBC News focuses on the facts, looking deeper and listening wider. It's clear reporting, free from opinion. Facts, clarity, calm. NBC News. Reporting for America.
There's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Listen to Joy 101 with Hoda Kotb on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Here in Texas, we know that trust is earned and reputation matters. Since 1993, Thomas J. Henry dedicated himself to building a firm that injured clients can trust and that Texans can respect. A firm where no defendant is too big and no case is too small. Backed by a track record of success and a commitment to our clients, Thomas J. Henry remains the name you can depend on if you have been injured. Trust the firm that stands for you. Trust Thomas J. Henry. San Antonio, Texas.
iHeartRadio wants you to see Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson live on their co-headlining tour, and you pick the city. We'll handle everything, and you'll meet Rob Zombie. Just tap the contest tab when listening to us on the free iHeartRadio app to enter. Tickets at LiveNation.com.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey guys, this is Jamie from Black Swan Yoga San Antonio, and we would like to invite you to join our Summer 75 Challenge. It's running from June 1st to August 31st. Commit to taking 75 classes this summer, and you'll be entered to win yoga for life. This is more than a challenge. It's all about building community. If you're new to the studio, jump in on our summer sale starting May 22nd. The first month is half off of our OG rate, making the first month $44. You can't beat that. We can't wait to flow with you and hope you crush it on your challenge.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Pop Rewind, hit music from the 2000s through today. Pink, Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, Imagine Dragons, and more. I'm in love with the shape of you. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search Pop Rewind, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
Your home for Spurs talk. This is the starting lineup with Karl Schoening.
Yes, sir. Your home for Spurs talk, indeed. We'll get into a little bit more Spurs talk into hour number 2. We'll be joined by Kef Chardello. It'll be a fun one here on Ticket 760, talking with Kef about the upcoming Spurs Game 1 of the NBA Finals, the upcoming season for Texas State joining the Pac-12. There will be plenty to get into with Kef. I do not think Kef is a soccer person, though, LG. You and I don't know about you 100%, but I know you at least enjoy the beautiful game. We're excited about the World Cup coming up. Yeah, I think you can be counted in on that, right?
Yeah, I actually just got my media credentials for all the Houston FIFA World Cup games. So.
What?
Yeah, so I'm a backup camera operator. There's a chance I might not get to go to any games, but if in the event that any camera operator drops out, I will be in attendance at some of the Houston games.
Can you abuse that by just showing up?
Probably not.
No, okay. You got to be on a list
I'm pretty
with
sure
the credential.
Security is going to be tight. Yeah, I had to submit a passport, my social security number, and they had to run a background check on me. So the security is super tight for the World Cup events.
None of that is surprising, but I will say this. Soccer has a few complaints in their rules, and I feel like FIFA, for this World Cup, they announced this. This came from Katie Goodman's Instagram story. Katie Goodman does the SAFC broadcast with me, and I appreciate a lot of these. So there's new rules that FIFA has officially confirmed for the World Cup. The first one on this slide from Instagram is throw-in countdown for 5 seconds. And this isn't necessarily 5 seconds to inbound like in basketball, but if a player deliberately delays restarting play, the throw-in may be awarded to the opposing team. So this is somewhat at the discretion of the referee. However, I like that because sometimes these throw-ins, they take a little longer, and I think that's a little off-putting to fans that are just trying to get into soccer. So I like that. I feel like maybe there needs to be some kind of warning, but yeah, that's interesting. Here's the next one, goal kick countdown, 5 seconds. And we see this from goalies a lot where it looks like they're just waiting too long to kick the ball. So I appreciate it if the official can give us clear signal that he's starting the 5-second count. And if the kicker isn't into his motion within 5-6 on the goal kick, whether it's the keeper or another kicker, a defensive player sometimes will do a goal kick. It will possibly be a corner result awarded. Another thing is time-limited substitutions. You have 10 seconds to exit the field. Otherwise, you'll be blocked from entering the field on the substitute, and the new player has to wait at least a minute, and there will be a team that'll play with 10 men for that minute that they have to wait for the untimely substitution change. I like that. Off-field treatment. You have to be off the field and remain off the field for 60 seconds. Exceptions made for goalkeepers, injuries, or instances where the opponent is booked or sent off. And this one's probably my biggest and favorite one that needs to be implemented across all levels, LG. If you're going to insult someone, say it to where we can check the tape. So players covering their mouths in a confrontational situation with an opponent may be issued a red card. So this way, there are no, insults that are going to cause tempers to flare. And if you are going to say something, we are going to be able to check the tape and read your lips. And I like that a lot because that's obviously something that become an issue enough that they have made it a rule, and Katie said that that's one that should be implemented across all levels of soccer. She played soccer at Mississippi State. I get the feeling she must have been told once or twice something she didn't like. So there's a couple other things, like corners can be checked, second yellow cards can be reviewed as well. So I like all those rule changes, and they should be fun. But, just real quick, LG, anything stand out there to you?
Not really. I mean, I don't really agree with the rule. I mean, let them talk smack to each other. Who cares?
Yeah, well,
part of the game.
I suppose it's part of the game. I remember Luka Doncic got real mad at Goga Bitadze, and they said that he said in Slovenian something that was towards his family. And, I think sometimes there's lines that can be crossed, and sometimes that's the name of the game, is to try and get them riled up. And I appreciate that if they're going to allow lines to be crossed, they're going to basically say, do it where we can see what you say. And obviously, if you decide that you're not going to, we're going to hit you with a red card. All right, that'll do it for hour number one. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will have Kef Chardello join us here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Academy Sports and Outdoors doesn't sell meat. We do sell the things that make meat meat. Grills that make steak sizzle, smokers that melt brisket, and chairs that make you say, let's sit and eat meat. But that meat didn't come from us. The shade you're under, spice you're tasting, and American flag shirt you're wearing, that's us. Cherry wood and charcoal, yes. Corned beef, no. Corn whole, yes. Canopies, yep. Canapes, I don't know what that is. Meat, no. Everything but the meat, yes. Academy, fun can't lose.
Anti-lock brakes. Automatic lane correction. Rear view backup cameras. Of all the many features in vehicles designed to keep you safe, the most effective one is you. There are more big trucks and other vehicles on our roads these days, but you can safely share the road by keeping your eyes off your phone, slowing down, buckling up, and making sure you have plenty of room when passing. Be safe. Drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating.
Keep celebrating when you bundle and save with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wimby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go for sale the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go.
Sponsored by Connecticut Water Systems. ConnecticutSA.com.
Across the Central Plains, including eastern Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and northern Texas, expect numerous thunderstorms, some of them becoming severe. There could also be isolated tornadoes, especially across Kansas and Nebraska. Highs range from the 70s in eastern Colorado and Nebraska to the low 90s in Oklahoma and Texas. Further east into the Midwest, including Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, thunderstorms will bring torrential rain and localized flash flooding as highs reach the low 80s. Hot and humid in the deep south and along the Gulf Coast with scattered thunderstorms. The northeast will top out in the low 80s, while the mid-Atlantic and southeast climb into the mid to upper 80s with a few isolated storms. The desert southwest stays very hot as temperatures reach as high as 110 across Arizona, southern Nevada, and southeast California. Along the west coast, temperatures will be in the low 70s in northern California, top out in the mid to upper 80s in southern California. Much cooler in the Pacific Northwest with a mix of clouds and sun and temperatures reaching the low 70s. That's your national forecast. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
This is Ticket 760, KTKR San Antonio, your home for sports. Guaranteed human. Make us the number one preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Karl Schoening.
Welcome into the starting lineup. I'm Karl Schoening, your host, starting at the voice coming through your speakers. We appreciate y'all tuning in here on Game 1 of the NBA Finals morning. And in the starting lineup with me, starting at the best hair in the media game, Kef Chardello joins us. Hey, Kef, you are the first guest here to join us. Go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Wow, guest number one. That's quite an honor for me. I'm very happy to be here at the starting lineup with Karl Schoening. My name's Kef Chardello. I cover the Texas State Bobcats for a podcast called Win Now or Get Bent. I'm also an avid Spurs fan, been one for a very long time. And I love sports. I've been covering media for a long time, so I'm fired up to talk about the finals and whatever else you got for me, Carl.
Yeah, Kev and I met at Texas State. He was somebody who, I guess, we worked together essentially as equals. But the backstory is he had been there a little bit longer than me, and somebody wanted to make me. I think we were so concerned about titles back then, and it was like lead basketball analyst, and then. That was the title handed to me, and you were sort of then became lead writer because they wanted to make sure that you were taking care of that Bobcat report. Funny things that a decade ago, really, I guess seemed like big deals to us, but then we've moved on from them so much. You started a podcast and media, I guess, covering the Bobcats now is Win Now or Get Bent, which stems from when they were not winning at all. And you basically were just they threw that out there, Win Now or Get Bent, because the fan base for Texas State football had been so upset that they decided that they were just tired of it. And you were the one who had to actually go out there and cover those teams. There was Everett Withers there and Jake Spavital era where it felt like they lost by 40 multiple times in a season and they never made bowl games. But hey, the Bobcats have been winning 3 straight years under G.J. Kinney, who got his start here in San Antonio as a head coach at UIW, makes the jump over to Texas State. He'll be in his 4th year, 3 straight years of making a bowl game, all with a different quarterback. And, I didn't mean for the top of the hour to start into Texas State talk, but we will get a little.
I was shocked when I was listening to you.
We will get a little into Texas State talk here before we jump into Spurs. But I think the one thing that I wanted to ask you about was, just how G.J. Kinney has been able to do it, and in this transfer portal era, how impressive it is that he's been able to take a team that's never been to a bowl game to 3 straight bowl games with 3 different quarterbacks, and how he's able to run an efficient offense every year despite having a different play caller.
Yeah, you mapped it out a little bit, talking about the dark times when things were down bad for Texas State, and that was kind of the genesis of the name of my podcast, Win Now or Get Bent. It was 2021. Things had not been going well. Those dark times that Karl was talking about, the straight seasons where Texas State football didn't win more than 4 games. There was plenty of 2-10 seasons in there and 3-9, and it was just abysmal in San Marcos when it came to college football for a long time. And some of the biggest change I would say was at AD. I think this is something you can attest to personally, Karl. Larry Tice being removed, and in came Don Coryell. A year after that, Dr. Kelly Dampus became president at Texas State, and that was in 2022. And I feel like that was the real tipping point for athletics, because as soon as Kelly Dampus, the school president, the guy who was in charge of not just athletics but also the academic side, he came in and said, we have to make athletics better, because that's what everybody's going to see, whether we like it or not. We all want everybody to know Texas State as an academic institution, but they look at the quality of this university by how the sports team do. And that's not necessarily fair, but that's just the way it is. That's how it is. It is the front-facing product of your university is sports. So he came in on a mission to clean that up, to fix that. And the big daddy is football, especially here in Texas. You got to fix that one. That's something that they took very seriously. They made a coaching change after being here for a year. When I say they, I'm talking about Dr. Kelly Dampus and Don Coryell, the AD and school president. They made a change. They went out and they found a young coach. He had only been coaching for 1 year at Incarnate Word, but that 1 year was spectacular. That was a year you knew very well, Karl, being down there in San Antonio for Incarnate Word. They put up a lot of points in 2022 with G.J. Kinney as the coach. Texas State hired him, and football has taken off since then. They haven't won conference. They haven't gotten to double-digit wins or anything yet, but they have gotten over. They have a winning record the last 3 consecutive seasons. They've won bowl games the last 3 consecutive seasons. Football is finally on the upward trend. The other sports had always been competitive, always done well in other departments, whether it's volleyball, softball, baseball, basketball is a little up and down, but they're starting to turn that around now that they're moving to the Pac-12. And so it's finally starting to catch up football is, and you can see the dividends. It's paying off when people talk about Texas State, when they think about Texas State, they just have a little bit more reverence. It's not as it's not as dismissive, like forget those guys. They're at the bottom of whatever conference they're in. We're not concerned with Texas State. Now people know more about the Bobcats, and now they're like, and that whether older people look at it and they don't think too much about it, but younger people, where they're more impressionable, they don't have an idea of what Texas State is. They see this, they see Texas State on the come up, and they think, oh man, I want to go to that university. This is a place I want to be a part of, watching it grow so much. So you can understand why they took sports so seriously and decided to turn it around, because it changes the perception of your university if you can fix it. And they've done that so far. Still working on it, but they're doing a good job with it so far.
Yeah, there's plenty of great things happening up the road in San Marcos. You and I will talk about it as they will officially become Pac-12 members in July. But you have been a Spurs fan as long as I've known you. I don't remember exactly how you became a Spurs fan. That'll be a topic for another conversation. But you and I
can have it today. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Wait, no,
we go back to the beginning.
I even mentioned that you're a Raiders fan, and we could talk about all those things. I apologize in advance about the Raiders fan bit, but when it comes to Spurs, you and I were texting last night when I was preparing this, and you brought up a really good point, and maybe it's a point that escapes me and sometimes escapes Spurs fans, but it's wild that this young team went from being in the lottery last year, and last year maybe would have been that first year that the Spurs make a bit of a playoff impression. But unfortunately, season-ending injuries kept them from getting into the play-in and all those things, and they eventually end up with Dylan Harper, the X Factor. And now this is a young group all put together, and it's surprising to Spurs fans, and I think it's a welcome surprise for sure that they've gotten this far, and it's wild that win or lose their season, they've gotten to the point where they only have 4 to 7 games left, and they obviously would like to just go ahead. We've come this far. Let's win the whole thing.
It's remarkable. It's unprecedented, really, for a team this young to be this good already. We were watching at the beginning of the year. It was so exciting. You're thinking about these young guys like, man, in 2, 3, 4 years, maybe they're really contending for championships. They need to grow. Need to some of these guys they really got to get punched in the face a little bit before they start winning a whole lot. But it turns out they're punching everybody else in the face. They're taking everybody else out. They're not worried about any of that, any of the precedent, anything that they've seen in the past. Where these teams, you need more veteran leadership. You need more experience in order to get there. It's been remarkable, and it's pretty funny too, because we talk about how young these guys are, and I think a lot of people forget, including myself, how many veterans there are on this team. When you look at guys like Harrison Barnes, De'Aaron Fox has been in the league for a while as well. Even when you go deep on the bench, like Mason Plumlee, Biyombo has been around forever. Kelly Olynyk's been around forever. There is this veteran leadership that permeates throughout the team. Cornette, of course, I can't pass over Cornette. He's definitely very experienced, was just won the finals with the Boston Celtics. That just because it's not the star players, you can still feel what they bring to this team and the maturity in these guys that, especially you see Bismack Biyombo. He doesn't play a whole lot, but you see him always messing with the young guys, grabbing the back of their jersey during after game celebrations and moving them around. You can watch the body language of this entire team, and it makes being around those older guys, even though they're in the background, they're not playing as much. Their relationships matter in the locker room and everything, and you can see that come through in these young guys' play. And, and it's not all just the veteran leadership helping out Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle. These guys came in with this dog mentality, especially Dylan Harper. I mean, he's raised by his father, Ron Harper, a 5-time NBA champion. His older brother, Ron Harper Jr., is also in the NBA. So, they had some real battles in the backyard playing some basketball. And so they have that just this dog mentality. And you see it in Wemby. We saw the elbow against Naz Reid in the second round. We know that Wemby can get a little salty himself, that honestly surprised me. This year, I feel like it's really starting to poke out in Wemby. And I don't know if all the stuff he did in the offseason, training with the Monks, training with Kevin Garnett, who Kevin Garnett, by the way, is bashing on the Spurs, saying they're going to get smoked by the Knicks, which I'm so surprised considering he just worked out with Wemby. He went off, him and Paul Pierce on a pod. I just heard it not too long ago. Didn't like that one. But he did all these things in the offseason, and I don't know if it just gave him a little bit more of an edge that he plays with, but because the leader of your team, a guy who's 7'5", the one that everybody's looking at, everybody's talking about, the fact that he plays with that edge, it gives everybody else an edge as well. It makes it almost like, okay, this is okay to play with this edge. It's almost like when you look at the Thunder and you see SGA flopping, and then by proxy, everybody else on the team is flopping all around them too, and it's almost what they're known for are the flops. Texas State is starting, the Spurs. See, we started out with Texas State.
Yeah,
so they got it on the mind. The Spurs are playing with that edge because their leader has that edge, and it's such a remarkable thing to watch this team already be in the finals. This should have taken a lot longer for these guys to get there, but they don't care about history. It's like Wemby just said it. Just heard him say, we don't know what's impossible, so we just keep going. They just keep trying, and they don't know what's impossible. They're too ignorant. They don't have the experience, and that's almost to a benefit to these guys.
Yeah, and I like what Michael Wilbon said in the sense that I don't disagree with him that you have to have your heart broken before you win an NBA championship. And one of the things that I think the NBA championship that the Spurs kind of on the way to winning this one, if they do win it, their punch in the mouth was actually last year when they should have made a playoff run. They end up with all these injuries, and that was when they got their heart broken. So I think that was a big part of it. But we're up against it. We're going to keep Kev Chardello on for the next segment, talk a little bit more Spurs, talk a little bit more Texas State. Here's the starting lineup rolls on Ticket 760. We keep it Spurs talk when we come back here on the starting lineup.
Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tiny Little Financial Consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Huebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in-store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Huebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Huebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Huebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
On Plus nicotine pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus nicotine pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
I'm Dr. Jason Garrett with Arasti. For nearly 20 years, I've helped patients recover from pain and injuries quickly. And that includes some of the best in the game, like Tony Parker and many Olympic athletes. At Arasti, we find the root cause of your pain and fix it fast. Most patients resolve their pain in just 3 to 4 visits. No long treatment plans, no gimmicks, just results. So whether you're a pro athlete or just want to get back to what you love, visit Arasti.com and schedule now. That's AIRROSTI.com. We fix pain fast.
Hey guys, it's us, the Jonas Brothers. I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin. And I'm Nick. And guess what? We created our own podcast. And it's called Hey Jonas.
Listen to Hey Jonas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thomas J. Henry Law fights even when the insurance company says your claim is worth nothing. Thomas J. Henry doesn't back down. That's how we put over $1 billion in our clients' pockets in just the last 4 years. Visit thomasjhenrylaw.com. Principal office, San Antonio.
Hunting, fishing, real country music. Vegans? Cable Smith reminding you to get your butt by the dial Saturday mornings from 7 to 8. It's the Lone Star Outdoors Show right here on Ticket 760.
Proud to make Pops proud. Proud to be Proud Pops.
I'm Brandon Rackler, co-founder of Proud Pops Plumbing, Air, Electric.
And I'm Jacob Magby, Brandon's slightly older sorter brother.
When Jake and I worked with our pops installing water heaters for our customers, we learned just how important it is to have enough hot water ready when you need it.
As Pop used to say, nothing beats a hot shower, except maybe a hot shower with someone you love.
Wait, Pop said that?
Sure did.
You mean about him and Mom?
I guess.
Our annual water heater clean and check will make sure your tank is working its best. Free from leaks, clean from corrosion, and ready to provide reliable hot water to your whole family.
But please, don't picture your parents having a shower together.
Proud to make Pops proud. Proud to be Proud Pops.
Give us a call and we'll pop in.
Visit proudpops.com.
Yacht Rock Radio on iHeartRadio drops anchor and goes commercial-free every weekend. Weekends were made for smooth sailing. Yacht Rock Radio's got the soundtrack. Just sit back, put your feet up, and enjoy. The smoothest soft rock from the 70s and 80s. Open the free iHeart app, search Yacht Rock, and set sail.
iHeartRadio. I'm Julian Edelman. That's Rob Gronkowski. And guess what, folks? We're teammates again. And we're going to welcome you guys all to Dudes on Dudes.
Dudes on Dudes.
That sounds a little weird, but that's what this is going to be. Roberto, what's Dudes on Dudes?
Well, I'm a dude, you're a dude, and Dudes on Dudes is our brand new show. And we're going to see who the ultimate dude really is.
The premise of this show is going to be, we're going to highlight players, peers, guys that we played against, legends from the past, and we'll get into the types of dudes. What kind of types of dudes are there, Gronk?
A lot of different types of dudes. We got studs, wizards. We got freaks.
Or dudes, dude.
We got dogs.
Dog. We'll break down their games. We'll share some insider stories and determine what kind of dude each of these dudes are. Is Randy Moss a stud or a freak? Is Tom Brady a dog or a dude's dude?
We're gonna find out, Jules. New episodes drop every Thursday during the NFL season.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and X. Go to Apple Podcasts and write a review about dudes that you want us to do.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
Strong coffee, stronger taste. Back to Karl Schoening in the starting lineup.
Welcome into the starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Karl Schoening. Happy you guys joined us over the airwaves, maybe on our YouTube channel. And we also have our first guest of the show, Kef Chardello, somebody who, it's funny, you look up and you know people for over a decade now. And I'm not trying to age us, Kef, but I think it's pushing 15 years, actually. So funny to hear all of our conversations, and a good chunk of them tend to not even be about sports. We'll talk for 3 hours and we'll realize we didn't even get to any sports topics, but that's just sort of how we go. We will keep it sports here on this show, and we really want to touch on the Spurs and what they can maybe do to slow down the Knicks. This is perhaps the hottest team in recent NBA history. 11 straight wins. They're probably the best shooting. There's not really a probably about it. They are the best shooting team that the Spurs have faced to this point. And it's a game where I think when you look past the Wemby and Jalen Brunson, if you want to call that a wash at two opposite positions, that's fine. You look past that matchup, and it's very hard to find an edge either way between the rest of the lineups. I think, you could possibly say that the Spurs have a slight edge, but if you have a little bit of East Coast bias, you could say the Knicks have a slight edge in the rest of the supporting cast after the star players.
Yeah, I think you just said it just very clearly that this is an evenly matched team. This is an evenly matched finals between these two, between the Knicks and the Spurs. We've seen it in the NBA Cup final when they matched up, that the Knicks, they can give the Spurs problems, no doubt about it. I mean, from between Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, you got Josh Hart, OG Anunoby. They've got some guys who can really get it done. The Spurs are deep themselves, no doubt about it. But the Knicks, they're a pretty deep squad. They're 7-8 deep of guys that could easily start and get out there and put up some production against the Spurs. That's going to be I think finding what Mitch Johnson, the head coach of the Spurs, what he really has to do is get that lineup down and figure out, like, okay, how do I match up best with some of these guys when they throw out these wrinkles like we saw in the NBA Cup final. What's the counter roster? What's the counter roster that I'm going to put out there to face these guys? What's the combination? Obviously, you got to have Wemby out there. And you have all these young players. You have a lot of guards. Sometimes you can't play all the guards. You can't play Fox and Castle and Harper together. But other times we see them playing together. Maybe this is more of a matchup where we see the three of them out there because this is the Knicks are a little smaller than the Spurs. That's not necessarily a negative when I'm saying that, but they aren't as long as some of the Spurs players. Obviously Wemby at the top, it really helps that in the Spurs case. But this Knicks team, it's going to be a tough matchup. And like you said, 11 straight games. They are as hot as they've ever been. This is a city, a fan base in the New York Knicks that are dying for a championship. What has it been, 53 years since they've won a championship? 27 years since they've been in the championship, in the finals when the Spurs beat them in 1999. So this is a place that is itching with anticipation. And Madison Square Garden, that is going to be one of the most raucous crowds out there. They're going to be hungry for this championship. So it's not going to be easy for the Spurs. That's why there was a lot of celebrating after beating the Oklahoma City Thunder and making the finals, and it was very exciting. But then real quickly for me as a Spurs fan, the reality set in, like the Knicks are good. This is not a cupcake that they're going to go in and sweep. This is going to be a legitimate series. That being said, even after all the nice things I said about the New York Knicks, Spurs in 6. I think that's how I'm feeling. Spurs in 6 in this series. They still match up better, even though the Knicks match up well against the Spurs. The Spurs are on a warpath.
No, for sure. I think that's exactly what we're probably expecting is Spurs in 6, but it's also going to be a very evenly matched series. We appreciate Chris Silva in the chat letting us know a couple of things that we need to work out technically. You can also buymeacoffee.com/the starting lineup to support the show. As Chris asked how to support the show, we definitely need the caffeine. So appreciate you, Chris. We will work on those technical difficulties. But yeah, this is a very evenly matched series, and I think the Spurs, obviously, when we talk about how they can take advantage of their matchup with Wemby, yes, I think that's going to be the key, to just get Wemby going early and often. And the funny thing about Wemby is you never know which way it's going to go with is it going to be Wemby is going to be, I suppose, the three-point shooting Wemby that floats around the perimeter, or is he going to be the Wemby that plays 15 feet and in? And I personally enjoy the Wemby that plays the interior the entire time. However, it seems like if you go back to that last series with OKC, Isaiah Hartenstein really pushed him out of the perimeter or out of the paint a lot. And I don't think that's going to be something that OG Anunoby can do in the defense of Wemby. I think that's going to be one of those things where Wemby is, I guess, the X factor in the sense of what kind of Wemby are you going to get, and can he in a game change what he's doing, whether or not he will bounce on out to the perimeter if he needs to get his shot going, or if he's going to really just force feed it down into the paint. So we'll keep an eye on how the Spurs handle those things. But, that's good Spurs talk here. We're excited about the matchup. I do think it is a very evenly matched team between the Knicks and the Spurs. I don't necessarily even want to get into a pick, but who does get a lot of attention for their picks is the Corgi. You've seen that, right, Kef?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the Corgi yesterday around 9 o'clock on Yahoo got the sponsor to say that the Spurs will, in 7, be the he picked the Spurs in 7 after several missed attempts. All of the ones that count are the ones going in, and that's how the Spurs will go. In fact, my mom just sent me a message from when you and I were on the championship parade in 2014. I totally forgot that you came on the float with me for the 2014 parade. So yeah, I guess my mom's tuning in right now. But yeah, good vibes. Actually, I forgot about that. That's funny how many things we talk about knowing each other for. That was over 10 years ago now. So yeah, I totally forgot that you joined me and my family on the championship parade. Wow, what a funny blast from the past my mom brought up there in a quick text that I just checked. But
top 10 moment for me personally, like of my entire life, maybe even top 5. Yeah, I have 2 kids, so I'm also married, so I can't get. I don't think
been lowered a little,
lower than 5, but it's in the top 10 for sure. Yeah, that was amazing. I was waiting tables at Chili's at the time, and I had to call into my manager and be like, hey, I can't make it. I'm literally going to be in the Spurs parade, like not at it, in a boat. So shout out to Karl Schoening. Shout out to the Schoenings for letting me tag along and be in on that great moment. That was I even have a photo album of all our pictures. I don't know if I've ever shown it to you.
Yeah, you have. No, it's cool. It's cool.
Day.
Yeah,
my mom put it together. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad Mama Chardello put that together for us to have those memories. Greg Cast is in the chat here as well, seeing that you're the Texas State person. He says, God bless and birds up. That's a very Jeff Traylor moment. And, despite a lot of the discourse, we will get into some Texas State talk when we come back on the other side. I real quick, I do know that you respect Jeff Traylor, and it's a really fun dynamic between Jeff Traylor and G.J. Kenney as they go all the way back to, when G.J. was a teenager in Gilmer, Texas. And
I have a ton of respect for Jeff Traylor. Sorry if I cut you off.
No, you're good.
But he even going back to 2016 when Texas State hired Everett Withers, a name you remember very well, to be the head coach of the Texas State Bobcats. They were kicking the tires on Jeff Traylor. I think he was in maybe a special teams assistant at UT at the time. I'd have to go back and look, but this was before he had a collegiate head coaching job. And Texas State was looking at Jeff Traylor. They decided not to go with Jeff Traylor. A year or two down the road, UTSA scoops him up, and boom, look what he's done in San Antonio. The triangle of toughness, 2-0. Man, has he done some spectacular things with UTSA and really, really struck where the iron is hot in San Antonio, and that's with the pride in the city that he's done with UTSA. That's the main thing that I admire. As a Texas State fan, of course, I want to see the Roadrunners lose when they play the Bobcats. But as a sports fan and as somebody who lives here in Central Texas, you can't help but be impressed. And how he has galvanized the UTSA fan base. They have a lot of work to do, just like Texas State, but they are on the right trajectory. And when you look at Texas State, all those good things we were talking about Texas State doing, a lot of that was watching UTSA win 5 straight times in football against Texas State, watching their profile grow more and more. That inspired and motivated a lot of people in San Marcos at Texas State. Like, okay, that's our rival just down the road, just down 35, and look at what they're doing. We've really got to get it together and turn the ship around. And they had, and I would say that if UTSA wasn't doing what they were doing, Texas State wouldn't have been as motivated to grow. That's the beautiful thing of that rivalry, is I feel like it makes both places grow. It's one of the rare rivalries where I personally don't hate the other team. I appreciate them. I admire them. Obviously, I want Texas State to beat them. I want Texas State to beat the Roadrunners whenever they're going up against them. Sorry if you're a Roadrunner hearing that. But you can't help but respect what they've done. Even baseball, they're turning around their baseball program. Their UTSA is on the upward trend.
Yeah, well,
as much as I don't like saying that.
Yeah, well, we'll step aside, and when we come back here on the starting lineup, we'll try and get everything knocked out audio-wise fixed and talk a little more Texas State here on Ticket 760.
This is San Antonio FC Insider, brought to you by Methodist.
San Antonio FC's Christian Sordo has been named USL Championship Player of the Week, joining SAFC defender Nelson Flores Blanco on the league's first Team of the Week after a 4-4 draw at Sporting Club Jacksonville. Sordo is the first to earn Player of the Week honors this season. He scored 2 goals in that game, 1 a brace. He had a total of 5 shots, and 3 of those were on target. He has scored 3 goals over the last 2 matches. Flores Blanco earns his first recognition after assisting twice in that same match. That's today's SAFC Insider. I'm Katie Goodman.
Severe stomach cramps, trouble breathing, back pain? Don't diagnose yourself. For emergency medical care, leave it to the experts at one of our Methodist Healthcare ER locations. When it's an emergency, count on our trusted care teams and convenient locations. Our ERs offer high-quality emergency care 24/7. Choose emergency medical care wisely. Choose Methodist Healthcare. Find a location near you at sahealth.com/ER.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included. Content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
San Antonio, your Toros are dominating. 2 games, 2 wins, 2 shutouts. Nobody has scored on the Toros. A new generation carries on the winning tradition of one of the most legendary football names in San Antonio history. Now, the Stampede returns home Saturday, June 13th, as the Toros collide with the Tall City Black Gold. Tickets start at just $10 at COFLToros.com. Vamos, Toros!
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Knox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
Find out how to get Knox 47 for free. Call now, 800-480-8115. That's 800-480-8115. Free bottles for a limited time. Call 800-480-8115. That's 800-480-8115.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm, under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
He blades silver and black. Back to Karl Schoening in the starting lineup.
Starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Karl Schoening, here trying to figure out what our audio issues might be here as we try to get things rolling here. Kef Chardello in the starting lineup with me. However, we are going to try and figure out a couple of things to make sure that we are sounding good over the airwaves once again as trying figuring these issues out. I am going to now bring back in Kef Chardello here as Kef. Let me also make sure that you are sending your audio out. I think we will have to figure out the joys of live radio when you hear there's an issue and you have to troubleshoot it, right? So, one of the things I did want to talk to you about as we, continue the show for now is, everything's sounding good on the YouTube, so that's nice. So we appreciate Greg Cast giving us some feedback there, but it seems like we might not be sounding too great going out over the radio airwaves. But when it comes down to the Spurs and the Knicks, we just really want to crick it up. You said Spurs in 6, and hopefully that starts off on the right foot tonight in San Antonio for Game 1. But when it comes to the Texas State Bobcats, they're entering a new world in the Pac-12. And I always wanted, now that you're on your way out of the Sun Belt, I always wanted to see if I could get your honest response here. And it was, is the Sun Belt better than the American Conference? And now, is the Pac-12 better than the American Conference? And I always, and this wasn't just the bias of me being in the American, I always thought that the American was the better conference than the Sun Belt. But this new Pac-12, we'll have to give it a little bit of time. I think the new Pac-12 could be better than the American, and I thought UTSA maybe should have tried to jump ship into the Pac-12 with Texas State, and that would have been a fun rivalry once again in the same conference.
Now, if we're talking football, which I'm pretty sure we are, I mean, the American is superior to the Sun Belt. I'll give you that one. I think this new Pac-12 conference, this revived Pac-12, it's going to be the premier G6, if you will, the group of six, the mid majors of college football. I think the Pac-12 will eventually emerge as the premier of those six leagues, of those six conferences. Just when you look at these teams, obviously you have Oregon State, Washington State that are already in the Pac-12. They're one of the founding members, going all the way back to like 1915. They've been in it for a long time. Then they go out and add Boise State. That's a historical G5 program in itself, with the blue field and everything. San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Utah State. It was so interesting when they were starting to build this conference together. And then the rumors started to pop up that maybe Texas State is going to be invited, because some of these other American teams are turning it down. The Pac-12 was trying to go for Memphis and Tulane. I think even USF going as far as all the way to Tampa, Florida, for a West Coast team, which just so crazy.
Would have been crazy. Yeah.
I mean,
which is what the Big Ten is now. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And you're seeing a lot of the problems. We're seeing UCLA and Stanford, they're complaining about the travel costs already for them. That's a bit of a concern for Texas State that we can address on another one, another segment. But for right now, talking about just the Pac-12 and where it lies in the standings of these G6 teams, I think it's gonna take some time. Obviously, the very first year, you can't just crown the Pac-12 is like, okay, this is the team that's really trying to break through into that autonomous group and get into those Power Four conferences. It's going to take some time, but just how motivated everybody is. I've talked to a lot of the leaders of the Pac-12, the leaders here at Texas State University, and they are very motivated, very innovative about how they're going about this. You see their media rights deal, how all of their games are going to be on linear TV. Every single football game in the Pac-12 conference is going to be on linear TV, which means if you have YouTube TV, Direct TV, you can pull up any Pac-12 game. It's going to be on a channel. Might be the CW, might be USA, might be CBS Sports Channel, but it's going to be on linear TV, and that was very important when they were hammering in this media rights deal. They're trying to carve a path so that they can be the premier G6 in the country. So I would say the American is stronger now, for sure. But once the season gets going, once we really start to see these teams on the field, I think that perception might change. But yeah, and you're saying it on my way out of the Sun Belt, I would have admitted this to you last year. The American in football, especially adding UTSA and doing the expansion that the American did not too long ago, just made that conference stronger. I will say with the Pac-12, there's only 8 football teams right now. They're not trying to expand right away, but they're going to want to down the road. Why not UTSA? I mean, you have a built-in rivalry with Texas State. I think they need to upgrade some of their facilities. That's been the issue that I've heard with UTSA, that there are some facility upgrades that are needed, but that's something that Texas State was told as well not too long ago, a few years back, and they've addressed that. They've upgraded a lot of their facilities. So I think a lot of UTSA fans, they're very proud of the American Conference, as they should be. But don't discount the new Pac-12 completely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, Kef, we appreciate you joining the starting lineup today. It's always good to get your insight. We'll definitely have you on a good bit more here as we roll on throughout the show and keep up with those Bobcats up I-35 North in San Marcos. One last chance to shout out. How can people follow you on the socials?
Yeah, check me out on my podcast, Win Now or Get Bent, on anywhere you get a podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. And you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Kef_C. So go check me out.
Appreciate you, Kef. Thanks for joining us. We'll step aside here, and we will wrap up with a little bit more finals talk here on Ticket 760. Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wimby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go for Sella Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hi, everyone. It's Andy Everett. You may not know this, but 1 in 4 men over 40 have low testosterone, and there is something you can do about it. I started recognizing the symptoms: low energy, low motivation, barely recognizing myself, couldn't play good golf, always tired when I worked out. That happened for me back in 2018. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made to get my health in line. Synergetics are the experts in hormone health in San Antonio, and they'll tailor your TRT plan for your unique needs, and they work with most major insurance providers. Book your free test right now at fixmylowt.com.
There's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Listen to Joy 101 with Hoda Kotb on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Car wreck? What happens next? Thomas J. Henry knows you deserve to get compensated for your injuries. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Visit thomasjhenrylaw.com. The name you know, the firm you trust. Principal Office, San Antonio.
Have you purchased your Connecticut quality water softener yet? If not, what are you waiting for? You need to take advantage of this great offer right now. Interest-free financing for 12 months and a free reverse osmosis system. So you don't have to pay any interest for a year, and you get great tasting water right there at your kitchen sink. Have you ever opened up the dishwasher and seen a lot of spots and looking like your dishes aren't that clean? That is hard water. Same can go for your clothes when they come out of the washing machine. Same can come for yourself when you get out of the shower. And the money that you spend on a Connecticut quality water softener, you're likely going to save because you're not going to have repair bills trying to fix or replace your appliances, and you're not going to have to call a plumber all the time because of all that bad water going through your pipes. It's an amazing offer. Interest-free financing for 12 months, a free reverse osmosis system. When you purchase a Connecticut quality water softener, it's the best and last water softener you're ever going to own. Call them today at 656-PURE, 656-7873. Love your water. Get a Connecticut quality water softener, ConnecticutSA.com.
48 countries.
Only one winner.
iHeartRadio and Fox Sports are bringing you every match of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Live. Every unforgettable moment wherever you are. Lock in your preset now on the free iHeartRadio app.
The world will be listening.
You know that Chick-fil-A sells more than chicken, right?
Hello, my name is Jaleesa, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit is how it's all of my favorite breakfast items in one good bite. That fluffy egg, that melty cheese with that perfectly grilled sausage. It just gives you that warmth, that comfort food that you love. It is the best possible option for a classic breakfast.
Comfort is calling. Order a Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit with Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
In this edition of the Marketer's Report, Monica Tam, head of brand media for DoorDash, discusses the power of audio influencers.
I think when you're tapping into voices like hosts and podcasters, you're being able to be part of that community, but in a very authentic way.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to the audiences, live conversations, and trusted influencers you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tidy little financial consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Hebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Hebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Hebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Hebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
The takes are hot even before the sun comes out. Back to the starting lineup.
Welcome back to the starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Karl Schoening. Happy you guys joined us here on the show, whether it be over the terrestrial airwaves, which hopefully we have gotten fixed here as we head into the Dan Patrick Show. And obviously the best thing for the Spurs is they are starting game one of the finals. And that'll be something that the Spurs obviously have been looking forward to all season long. They have a tough task against these Knicks who have been red hot all season. And they defeated them in the NBA Cup final. And they obviously are somebody who will give the Spurs a lot of trouble in terms of trying to slow down a hot team, which is something that I think goes back to even the levels of the college ranks where the Spurs are, you have to look at slowing down a team playing well at the right time. There's no awards handed out to win. For example, the Houston Rockets, Houston Rockets were the hottest team in the NBA in November. Forget about that. This is a team that has been good all season in the Spurs against a team that has been pretty good all year in the Knicks, but they are on a tear right now with 11 straight wins heading into the NBA Finals. Something I think that'll be key here for the Spurs is to get a good punch in early. I think that the big thing for this young team is to find that momentum early and then go ahead and continue that success heading into the later quarters. I think the Spurs can play from behind. They'd prefer not to play from behind. And I think one of the things that the Spurs are going to, want to keep an eye on when they talk about the shooting is, really they want to just close out on those shooters and send them into Wemby. The big thing that the Spurs do really well is they know how to funnel the offensive players towards their shot blockers, whether that be Wemby or Luke Cornett, and that makes two of those guys extremely dangerous here on the, levels of playing at the highest level, is that they can do things that they did in the regular season, even in the postseason. So the Spurs are really trying to put it all together there with the opportunities to close out and open up a series lead 1-0. That'll be a 7:30 tip-off on WOAI, and then on Ticket 760 a little bit later today, you'll have Uncle Andy giving you his stuff, and then on OAI, we start our pregame show at 6:30 with Spurs Countdown, and then at 7 o'clock, it'll be me with Dan Weiss on Spurs Radio Game Night. We have a surprise guest. I don't think I'm allowed to say who it is, but you guys should definitely tune in to the Spurs broadcast as we will have somebody fun that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. You can also see the game on ESPN Unlimited. I don't necessarily know. I'm not savvy on how all of that works, but there's going to be a Spurs cast and a Knicks cast of the radio broadcast over the television feed, so that'll be cool. If you guys want to watch the game and listen to us, it should be fun in that sense as well. And I really do think that it's going to be a fun night for the Spurs and the Knicks. And I really don't know where the edge can be grabbed here from these two teams. It is a knockdown, drag-out type of fight where the Spurs are going to have their hands full with the guys that are really hungry right now. You talk about this young Spurs team, they're definitely going to go out there and play with a lot of energy, but the Spurs are dealing with a team that they won't have the opportunity to come to the finals for the next 10 years. This is a veteran squad of Knicks players that have been trying to get to the peak of basketball for a long time, and the thing that I guess really stands out to me about this team of the Knicks is they have had their ups and downs, and will this work? Is so recently as Game 3 of the first round, people were saying fire Mike Brown, and the Knicks fans were not really having it with this team. And sometimes that just goes to show you how things can quickly sway in the world of sports, as the San Antonio Spurs certainly will be looking to close out the Knicks in tonight's game with this by slowing down their shooting and slowing down Jalen Brunson. So I think Jalen Brunson initially gets covered by Steph Castle. Steph will be somebody who always draws the toughest assignment on the perimeter. And then when you continue on with that, you talk about how the Spurs will have to guard some of these wing players. I think the Spurs, and this is just me being biased, of course, towards San Antonio, I think the Spurs win at almost every matchup. When you go around, Mikal Bridges probably has an edge over maybe when you talk about the other guard. Now that I say it out loud, De'Aaron Fox, I feel like De'Aaron Fox and Mikal Bridges is going to be who shows up and who's healthiest. Hopefully, De'Aaron's feeling a lot better on that ankle that he pretty much said he's going to have to heal in the summer, in the offseason. As Wimby also said it'll be the Spurs will rest when it's July. So, the other thing is they have nobody on the injury report. Mitchell Robinson is questionable coming into the game. I imagine he will play tonight. What will his effectiveness be with a fractured left metacarpal or fractured right metacarpal, so on his dominant hand? That'll be something interesting to see what happens with the Spurs in that particular sense. And then, I think you continue on here with the other opportunities that the Spurs have to try and make an instant impact tonight. I think they have to take advantage of home court. There's no way around it. Do not surrender home court advantage. The Corgi picked the Spurs in 7. I didn't actually mark if the Spurs won all of their home games on that particular scenario, but 7-game series, it's obviously going to be coming down to the home court advantage for the Spurs in that Game 7, and I think that will be something for the Spurs to try and come away with the victory on as they try and win here in San Antonio. Tip-off at 7:30, and then the series will shift on Monday night. Something that I don't know if it's too big of a deal. It definitely isn't really, because it'll still be a sellout, is the Knicks playing on a Monday and a Wednesday in New York City. I haven't look that far ahead to what day of the week Game 6 is. I would think that they would probably be giving them a weekend game in Game 6, but definitely the Spurs and the Knicks will have a Game 6 in New York City, if I had a guess, because this is a very evenly matched team where the Spurs and the Knicks will go back and forth. I would love it if the Spurs won this in 5 and knocked out the Knicks and won a championship on the home floor, but something tells me, I just get the feeling that this is going to be a long series between the Spurs and the Knicks, and we're going to have a lot of emotions. We're going to talk about all of it here on the starting lineup, hopefully without an echo, as we will get you into Dan Patrick, and I assume, and hopefully that any audio issues are fixed and we can send it over to Dan Patrick without having to worry about the audio delay. We'll send it out to national media in that sense. So as we roll on here on Ticket 760, keep it tuned in. Tomorrow morning, we will certainly have our audio issues fixed, even if I have to go back to LG's house. I've enjoyed staying here at my place, and, LG, I need to give him control once again here as we have the starting lineup on Ticket 760. We will talk all of those things. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, where, as far as I know, our audio has been clear all evening long, or all morning long, and tomorrow it'll certainly be clear as well. But we'll try and get the radio issues fixed out. Now we send it off into Dan Patrick here on Ticket 760.
Spurs Insider, brought to you by Methodist Healthcare.
The 2026 NBA Finals kicks off tonight with Game 1 at the Frost Bank Center as the Western Conference champion Spurs host the Eastern Conference champion New York Knicks in a rematch of the 1999 Finals. Knicks took 2 of the 3 meetings during the regular season, including a win in the NBA Cup Final and